Rain patted my windshield as I drove through the winding forest road. I had no idea my college professor lived so far out of the city. I let out a sigh as I felt myself getting more uncomfortable looking out to the sea of dead trees and empty farmland. I thought back to a conversation I had with my professor. I was complimenting his work on his theories, one being his string theory. It was mind-blowing. I just couldn't help myself but gush over his career. That's when he gave me a small smile and said,
"Hey, come over for dinner at my place. We can talk there."
I didn't expect that, but I didn't have any other plans for tonight, so I agreed. Besides, it's better than having leftover takeout. Again. I wonder, did he invite other students to his house too? I didn't dwell on that thought for too long as I looked at my clock on my dashboard. 4:46 p.m. I should have left earlier. I rubbed my eyes to the best of my ability as my eyelids got heavier as the drive went on. So I reached for the radio and started to find something, anything to keep me awake, but all I found was a half-empty Monster can. Better than nothing, I muttered to myself. Just as I took a sip, I spotted an old two-story house that looked like it came from the Victorian era. I checked the address that my professor gave me and looked over toward the house. Looks like the place. I parked in the driveway, noting the small car next to me. Grabbing my coat, I began to brave the rain outside. Right as I shut the door to my car, I felt a gust of wind nearly knock me off balance. I shivered and pulled my hood tighter to my face and listened to the rain pounding on it. I began to run faster as my face got soaked, nearly slipping as I got to the door. While waiting, I thought I saw toys scattered across the yard. All of them looked dirty and soaked by the rain. Did my professor have kids? I nearly jumped when I heard the door open. Turning to the now open door, I saw a short, skinny man with messy brown hair that was beginning to grey in some areas. He wore a white t-shirt and dark blue jeans. That is definitely my professor.
"Hey, you finally made it. Come in. You must be wet."
Nodding, I walked inside, letting out a sigh of relief. Sorry it took me so long. I was having a hard time finding this place.
"It's all right. I know my place is a little out of the way."
Looking around the room, I saw paintings and photographs of landscapes in the surrounding area of the house. There was a large staircase in the middle of the room. As I followed it upward, it led up to a balcony that was overlooking the living room. As I let out a whistle from the majesty of the old house, it grabbed the professor's attention.
"Nice place, huh?"
I nodded in stern agreement. Even since I arrived here, I wanted to know where he managed to attain this house. How did you manage to get such a remarkable place?
"Oh, I got the place when my parents... when they passed.
Oh, I'm sorry for your loss.
Happened a long time ago. Come on, take off your coat. You look like you're freezing. Plus, I don't know about you, but I'm starving."
No way that really happened.
Believe it, he had ice on his balls for a whole month. Oh, and in fact, it took the doctors hours to get the raccoon off. Anyways, that's why I call my best friend Strike Dick.
Oh, I was gasping for air at this point, but no matter how hard I tried, I just kept laughing. Everything stopped, though, when we heard a loud thump coming from upstairs, in the room above us. My professor's face darkened in a worried glare. What was that?
Don't worry about it. You had some questions, yeah?
Yes. I wanted to talk to you about your work. What made you want to study string theory and quantum science in general?
I wanted to study it because of my daughter.
I stood there in silence for a moment as I heard the rain pound against the window. Well, I didn't know you had kids.
What do you think about that painting there?
I looked to where he was pointing, and at the other end of the room sat a painting of some of the farmland I drove past. But the most notable thing about the painting was the most gorgeous rainbow I've ever seen in the background. It's really pretty.
My mother made that painting, Mr. Furtive.
I see. Well, who is your daughter, if you don't mind me asking? He took a swig from his wine glass.
Rainbow Dash.
The pony? It was at this moment I began to question my professor's mental well-being.
I know, you may think me mad, but I am telling you, my daughter is indeed an MLP character.
I just stared at him for what felt like a moment. But she's fictional. She's a character from a show.
I thought so too. Until one rainy day, I found her on the side of the road in a cardboard box.
My mind began to work into overdrive, trying to process what the man was telling me. Rainbow Dash, a fictional character, was his child. Well, I gotta get going. It's getting late and I don't want to miss any classes.
Sit the fuck down! Look, I get it, I sound like a raving loony, but it's true, it was her. Big adorable red eyes gazing at me, her rainbow mane all messy and dirty, and her smile. I love that smile.
He turned away from me and began to walk towards the window, which was getting pounded by rain. And I heard thunder ring out.
I remember when I first brought her home. She was so lost and scared. But I took care of her the best I could. Oh, and that time she got her cutie mark, her smile was so large I thought she would hurt her jaw.
I backed away into the wall next to the painting of a guy eating another guy. I forgot what it was called, though.
My Dashie. My little Dashie.
Look, sir, it's been fun, but I really need to get going.
They took her, you know?
They? Who's they?
Princess Celestia. That bitch.
I flinched as I heard the glass break. The madman that used to be my professor got very close to my face, seeming to study me for whatever reason. Sir, you're scaring me. He grabbed me by the collar. I cringed as I felt his warm breath on my face.
They took her away from me. I let them take her. I should have never had them take her.
Get away from me, you fucking psycho. He fell on the glass coffee table as I heard the glass shatter everywhere. The man moaned in pain as I began to sprint upstairs.
Get back here!
He screamed as I ran down the upstairs hallway. However, every door looked alike. The wallpaper was a dull grey with some flakes of paint falling off the wall, like it hadn't been taken care of in years. But before I could think about that, I heard heavy footsteps run up the stairs. I didn't think twice before I chose a random room. I jumped inside and slammed the door shut. The room was dark, but the first thing I noticed was the smell. It smelled like rotten meat. I gagged as I tried to reach the light switch. As I turned it on, the room was bathed in a red glow from the light bulb. I felt my breath catch in my chest when I saw something moving in the room with me. From what I could see was what could only be described as a dark mass that was rising and falling from its heavy breathing. I thought I could see bits of blue hair on the thing. The rest of its body, however, was pale and red. Its limbs were long and dangled and bent at different angles like tree roots. The thing turned its head to me. Its eyes were sunken into its skull. Its lower jaw was long and it dangled at odd angles. And the teeth that were in its mouth were growing on top of its other teeth. Its hair was long and greasy, but I noted how some parts of its hair was brown and in other parts it was in a rainbow. I gasped as I heard it talk in two voices. So help me, it had two voices. But before I could scream, I heard the door behind me open, and as I turned around, everything went black. The world slowly came back to me first in a blur, however. I began to realize I was moving. I tried to sit up, but I found I was tied down on a medical stretcher used for hospitals. My vision became clear as I looked at the dirty ceiling, lights flickering as I rode past them. I turned my head to the right and saw cages. Endless cages that looked like they belonged in a prison. "Professor, is that you?" I heard something call out. I let out a yelp as I saw something that was almost human. Well, human-shaped, anyway. The thing was human from the neck down, minus some blue patches here and there, but its hands seemed to be fused together, and its skin drooped lazily from its face. I looked to another cage and saw a puddle of fuzzy blue flesh. It moved up and down in a pattern, like a heartbeat.
My name is Scott. 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 My name is Scott.
I heard in a raspy female voice. The thing looked like a perfect copy of the Rainbow Dash character, but they were rocking back and forth with tears in their eyes. I also saw that the entire room was filled with scratchy writing that read, "My name is Scott." I tried to scream, but I realized I was gagged. I felt panic begin to wash over me like cold water. I struggled at the leather holding me down, but then I saw two double doors open as I was pushed into a new room.
I'm sure you have a lot of questions,
The man said, pushing me into a dirty room with tables full of bottles that contained strange brown substances, and was surrounded by medical equipment.
When Dashi went home, I thought I could handle it. I mean, after all, she was from another world, for hell's sake.
He rambled, looking through his equipment, searching for something.
But then a few years passed, and with every year I missed her more and more.
he said, grabbing an apron and began to put on 2 rubber gloves.
I was desperate to see her again, so I began to study quantum physics, alternative universes, black holes, the whole 9 yards. But no matter how much I studied or theorized, they were just that, theories. So when the science didn't work,
He paused, grabbing a needle full of the substance and smiled.
I turned to magic. But it didn't bring me rainbow either. Turns out the occult doesn't know how alternative universes work. But one day an idea came to me.
He leaned in on me, needle at the ready.
If I couldn't go to my daughter, I'll just make another one.
He whispered, jamming the needle into my arm. I felt the strange potion slide down my veins. Pain began to erupt across my body as I felt my bones break and rearrange. Organs were sliding around in my belly, and hair was spreading across my body. And finally, feeling my mind fading, my memories, my thoughts being erased like ink on a whiteboard. Going. Hey, wait. Please, no, don't do this. Please, I don't want to go. Going. I don't want to go. I want to stay. I still have family. I have friends. Going. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Please. Please, don't let me go. Gone.
Welcome home, my little Dashie.